As we drove on, the house came to view. All the lights were funny colours, green, lurid red or blue. There was eerie music. A witch, apparently, was leaning over the parapet of the veranda. As I got out of the car, she ran up to me, shouting, "Hello there! Is that you, Danny boy?" That voice with a British accent was familiar. Of course, it was Jenny, Pete's daughter-in-law. She used to be the girl next door. The family settled down in America when she was in her teens. The last time she and George came over to England, Pete and his wife accompanied them on the trip. Peter and I struck up some kind of father-son relationship. Maybe it had something to do with the fact that my father had died only 2 years before. While Pete was parking the car, Jenny led me into the house, where she introduced me to Countess Dracula, who bore an uncanny resemblance to Hilda, Pete's wife. It was Halloween. Silly of me to forget. George appeared in a winding sheet, followed by other members of the family, likewise dressed for the occasion. "You must have had a very tiring trip," said George as he adjusted his winding sheet. "Come into the dining room and join the fun. There's plenty to eat." For starters, I was treated to coffee, toast, and maple syrup. This kept the wolf from the door until the meal proper was served. 3 weird sisters brought on the best bone china. There was chicken, ham, roast potatoes, asparagus, corn, beans, and greens, followed by a fruit salad with lychees and an assortment of cheeses, all laced with aperitifs, various wines, including Amontillado for Poe specialists. Jenny and George kept me company as we exchanged items of family news. Jenny was in the 3rd month of pregnancy. They would stay with Pete and Hilda until the new house was ready. Pete said my room was ready any time I fancied turning in. Though I was rather tired, curiosity prompted me to stay up a little longer and enter into the party spirit. I felt like asking a shapely young vampirette for a dance, but the fuzzy feeling in my head made me think better of it. I was content to watch the others enjoying themselves. Frankenstein's monster danced with a siren or sea nymph, with aquatic plants hanging from her head. A very seductive witch-cum-bunny girl was doing the tango with a zombie with a nail through his head. Everything was suitably macabre. I suddenly thought of the monk I had seen in the grounds. Though I didn't actually see him, I somehow felt his presence in the house. Sometimes I was sure he was in the proverbial corner of my eye, though the elusive figure never came into full view. Eventually I felt so dog-tired that I simply had to excuse myself and leave for the bedroom. Hilda was in the hall answering a telephone call. She appeared to be deeply concerned about something, so I didn't interrupt the conversation to say good night. Once in my room, I happened to look out of the window. Frankenstein's monster hurried to his car and drove off at great speed. I tottered into bed and fell asleep. It had been a very tiring and demanding day. Down at the breakfast table next morning, I learnt the reason for Hilda's distress. Apparently, a neighbour had been taken ill during the night and had died in the early hours. Strangely enough, he had been invited to the Halloween party, but, being indisposed, he couldn't come. "Poor old Harry," said Hilda, Who'd have thought? In the midst of life, Pete interjected with appropriate gravity. Pete, you're being gloomy, said his wife with an air of reprimand. We'll have to go to the funeral, I suppose. Danny, I'm sorry for you. What a start for your trip to America. What places do you figure on seeing? Why don't you rent a car and tour New England and the eastern states? I have a better idea, said George. He can drive my old Chevy. Your old Chevy? Scoffed Pete. I doubt he'd get as far as Connecticut with that old bone shaker. George protested that his old Chevy had never let him down seriously, and that car rental was expensive. Anyway, how far do you want to go? Asked Jenny. As far as Washington or Richmond, I answered. Why Richmond? Asked Pete. Edgar Allan Poe lived there, and... That guy? Exclaimed Helga. Say, wasn't he the one who wrote all those horror stories like The Fall of the House of Usher? Real scary. That's the one, I rejoined. Actually, a great deal of interest is being taken in Poe these days. He influenced Baudelaire, the father of French symbolism. Did he now? Asked Pete, his face expressive of profound admiration. Another cookie, Danny? Some more coffee? How did you like the party? Asked George. Some good get-ups, eh? I thought the one with a nail through his head was particularly striking, I commented. Right. That was Mike Milovitz's business colleague, explained Pete. I thought Frankenstein's monster was very convincing. Sure, sighed Hilda. That was the Reverend Pearson, our minister. Oh, he's a wonderful man. He cares about people. He left as soon as he heard the news about Harry Freeman being ill. Everybody loves him, don't they, Pete? Sure do, Hilda. And the one in the monk's habit? I inquired. In a monk's habit? I can't remember anybody in a monk's habit. Can you, Hilda? Have another cookie, Dan, said Pete, a shade disconcerted.